Welcome to Gapology Radio with your hosts Mark Tinas and Brian Brockhoff. This is your podcast covering tactics for creating winning leadership and sustainable winning organizations. Discover more information detailed in their books, Gapology, Imbar, and their newest release, Speed of Purpose. We can be reached at gapology.org, and our books can be found at amazon.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Gapology Radio. We appreciate all the great feedback and comments on our last podcast about First Team First. If you haven't had a chance to hear that, go back and check that one out. It seems as though it could be a great topic for a whole book, but who knows? We'll see. But we are excited to get going on a new podcast this week. Let's go ahead and give Martinez a call.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Mark. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
It was wonderful. How was yours?
Good. I'm still full, I think.
I've run mine off by now.
Have you? That's good. That's good. Yeah, I've been walking. I've been trying to get in shape, getting ready for my New Year's resolution. It'll be coming up soon.
Yeah. Well, good. Good for you.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. So what would you like to cover today?
Well, I thought we would follow up on that First Team First conversation from our last podcast. That got a lot of positive reviews, and I heard a lot of comments that it was very helpful. And there's sort of a tangent to that, which is called borrowing power.
Oh,
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I think this is probably one of my favorite things in Gapology, borrowing power. I definitely see how it can fit in with First Team First. So, yeah, this sounds good.
Okay, let's jump right in. So this is borrowing power is something that many leaders do, and it's a mistake. So it's something you want to avoid. And you may do it without even knowing you're doing it, and you may view it as your point of view or a way that you lead, but it doesn't really have a lot of positive benefits. So let me tell you what it looks like. It's about using the authority of someone else to give direction. It's sort of like saying, this is not my idea, but we've got to get this done. So it comes across very weak. Let me give you some real-life examples of what it sounds like, and then, Brian, I'll have you jump in and comment. These are things I've actually heard, and heard frequently at times. The first would be, well, corporate wants us to do it this way. That's borrowing power. My boss says that when she does it, she likes it this way. That's borrowing power. Or the owners want us to do it this way. I mean, you might as well say, hey, this is not my idea. I don't believe in it at all, but we're forced to do it. It's a real cop-out. It's a real shirking of duties, of responsibility. So it's something to be avoided.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's something that absolutely I've seen throughout my career, but I will tell you, my own testimony is that I used that all the time when I was a young leader, when I was just first starting out. I didn't really understand what I was doing, leveraging my boss or corporate and to try to drive home some extra authority and try to create some urgency around things. If you ask anybody that worked for me back then, they will say absolutely that I did that. But what I learned was that in doing it, the team looked at me much different. They looked at me as a weak leader, I would say, that I really wasn't the one calling the shots. I wasn't the one inspiring the team. I wasn't the one motivating the team. I was leading through really creating a sense of fear, I think, versus me setting my priorities, expectations for the team, creating accountability, and doing all those things.
Yeah, I mean, it has a lot of negative side effects. I think we've all done it, but we learn how borrowing power isn't a way to build our own careers, and it really is saying, hey, I don't believe in what we're doing.
Right.
I mean, what a message to the team. I don't believe in this, but we've been told to do it this way.
Right.
You know, it lowers our authority, and it really just forfeits the responsibility.
Right. Oh, yeah, it totally does. And that's probably the underlying factor of why I did it. I remember times when I was a store manager and the big boss would be coming to town to visit locations, and my boss would start out the borrowing power chain by telling everyone in our own market, the big boss is coming, everybody needs to get ready. His expectations are X, whatever that was at the time. So make sure that you're perfect and ready to go. And then guess what I would do? Well, I would take that and do the same thing with my own team. Okay, the boss is coming. The big boss is going to be here. We all need to get ready. We're going to work extra hard and put in extra hours to get ready because, we don't want to get in trouble with the big boss. I just remember doing that all the time, and it's crazy. Yeah, and I clearly remember the first time that you told me about borrowing power when we were putting Gapology together. It was like a bomb went off in my mind. It's like a light turned on. I've been doing exactly that. I've been borrowing power this whole time. And honestly, Mark, I think it was probably the single most important discovery I ever had as a leader that totally changed my leadership. I didn't always believe in what my boss or my boss's boss or even corporate said. So instead of asking for clarity or privately challenging the directions, I would just borrow their power, so I didn't have to be the bad guy.
We're not going to agree with everything done.
Right.
But remember back to First Team First, we talked about after the boardroom door opens, and we were just using that as an example of a meeting of leaders who have agreed on something. Once the door opens and you walk out the door, you got to be in agreement. You got to be aligned. You got to go execute what was just discussed, in that room. We're not always going to be perfectly aligned, but it becomes our direction at that point, not somebody else's, not corporate's. It's our direction. So rather than lowering our authority, we need to own it.
Yep.
And when we own it, we win. And we don't violate first team.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a sign that the team isn't aligned with the purpose. I think a lot of this stuff fits into speed of purpose as well. So if the team isn't aligned to purpose, they're going to be questioning things. There's going to be confusion, and borrowing power as a tactic, I think, demonstrates the fact that you're not really aligned with that purpose.
Yeah. I mean, that says it well. The other side effect of it is it lowers execution because it really tells the team, I don't really have to do it.
Yeah.
Brian doesn't really believe in it. Mark doesn't really believe in it. They're not going to follow up. It really doesn't matter. So it makes us look weak as leaders, and it lowers our execution levels, and it really violates first team. So we have to own, the decisions that were made. We then have to go out and teach and leverage decisions that were made, and show the team how to do it and get them to buy in as well. Think about the cascading effect of the leader who says, not my idea, to the leader that they've just told that to, who then tells it to their team and to their team. By the time it goes to the point of execution, which may be a couple of layers below, it doesn't get done. It doesn't get done.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Right, for sure. Yeah, the team totally doesn't buy into it. And then if you don't have their hearts and their minds wrapped around the things that you're asking them to do, you'll never accomplish what you want to.
Yeah, so it's sort of the reverse of the habit ladder. I mean, we teach the habit ladder everywhere we go, where you've got to create habit within teams. And the first thing you do is you communicate, maybe how you're going to do a process. You then verify their understanding. And then the gold comes when you ask for their agreement and their commitment to do it. That's huge.
Yeah.
And then you practice it. And give feedback. And then eventually you achieve habit. the borrowing power destroys the habit ladder because you don't do that. And if you don't do the habit ladder, you're never going to be great.
Right.
You are never going to be great.
Yeah, you're never going to execute that habit ladder at a high level ever if you don't, if you're not aligned, right? If you're not practicing first team first, if you're not aligned with it, you'll never execute habit ladder at a high level.
Yeah, greatness comes through habit, that habit level of execution, and borrowing power destroys that, wipes it out.
Yep. Just think of the fear that you're creating. So if you're saying we need to do this because corporate is coming, they're going to be inspecting, we've got our senior leader heading this way. Come on, guys, we got to get it done. I just think that fear. And so what does that do to your culture? That just tears down any culture you're trying to create. When you lead through that fear that's created with borrowing power, it destroys everything you're trying to create.
Oh, that's a great point. It's fear-based leadership, and that's really what borrowing power is. That's a great point.
Yep. Yeah, cool.
Well done, Brian.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I think this is a good short message. I think a lot of people will really get a lot out of it. So thanks a lot, Mark.
Thank you.
Yep. We'll talk to you later.
Have a great week.
Yep. You too. Bye. All right. That'll do it from here. For more information on Gapology, IMBAR, or Speed of Purpose, head on over to our website, gapology.org. Everybody have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Gapology production. Visit us at gapology.org.